Yeah, defending my honor, a nigga for comedy niggas as long as my boy's a stoner. Oh, that bitch a goner, she tested for Rona, we pull up and slide like he was a runner.
Yo, it's another episode of TrapSet Podcast, man. I don't know what episode it is, but we're going to focus on women empowerment, man. I got a great guest here. We got Jeanna Petty here. How you doing?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm great. It's been an okay Sunday so far.
Awesome.
It's been an okay summer so far. So
it looks like you got your glass of wine over there. I feel you.
Yeah.
Something like
it's wine, but I'm laid back over here. Pretty much, just a mellow Sunday. Mellow.
Nice. That's what's up. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Sunday off for chill days.
Definitely.
So I know before we start, before I got into the show or whatever, you said you stayed in Alaska, man. Talk about that a little bit more.
Okay. Well, I won't go into like my whole spiel about how we got there, but long story short,
you don't have to.
A lot of people ask though, coming from Alabama, they're like, how the hell and what the world and why did you go to Alaska, right? But we honestly, we wanted to do something different. We just said, you know what, I want to do something different. For a while.
Did you want to do something? Did you want to do something different, or your husband wanted to do something different?
I might have initiated it, but he went along with it because after we made the decision, his friend called and was like, well, why don't y'all come up here? It's not like everybody thinks, and it's cool. So from that day forward, my husband literally every day was watching stuff about Alaska. He was like, look, babe, this person over here blogging about it, and look, this what they got over here in Alaska. And so for 3 months, he had me all into Alaska stuff until we got there or whatever. But he after, ultimately he was like, well, I guess I got to do what the wife says. So let's do something different. And he got a job, and which he really has never really had before. He has, but for the most part, he's been cutting hair, his whole life. And so it was something new for us all, but I love the experience. I tell everybody, go to Alaska at least one time because it's very beautiful, very nature oriented. And the summers are perfect. In Anchorage specifically, it only gets up to 80 degrees. So it's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's like a perfect type of weather if you ask me.
Yeah, but when winter comes, it's a different story.
It's not that bad, I promise. If you layer
what was the lowest it got out there? What was the lowest?
Well, okay, so I'll say, and to me this don't count, but I was out. I think I was out on Halloween, and I looked at the clock. It might have been 2 or 3 in the morning, and it was -2. And I was like,
hold on,
I'm telling people.
You telling people go from what below 10? I mean, they usually see maybe the lowest at 10 degrees, but you want them to go below the negatives? Nah.
It's different over there. I'm just saying. If you layer up and if you get too hot, you can take some off. That's the difference between the heat and the cold. You can take clothes off, but you can't, take your skin off.
You can't. So I know we just dived right into about you living in Alaska. I ain't even let you introduce yourself. Introduce yourself to the viewers.
Well, sweet. I appreciate it. For those of you who may or may not know me, I go by TherealJeannaPetty online, but Jeanna Petty is my name. Grew up actually here in Huntsville, where I met this great gentleman here. Traveled around the world quite a bit. As soon as I got to the age where I can move out and explore and do some different things, because I didn't want to be in Alabama. And at that point, I took it upon myself to follow mentors and really just dive deep into learning what I could, because school wasn't for me. And so I'll say fortunately, I've been able to experience a lot over the last 20 years from traveling and learning and doing a lot of my own self-development and what do they call it? Self-education, basically.
Self-education, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm a mom of 2. I'm married. Love entrepreneurship. I grew up in business. Love to help people, encourage people. Yesterday, we just did a community event, just to bring some of our people together and to reinvest in each other. I wear a lot of hats. So, I mean, we might get into different pieces throughout the podcast, but in a nutshell, that is who I am.
Yeah, we definitely gonna touch bases with everything. So pretty much, I know from your Instagram and from me knowing you personally, I can tell that you pretty much entrepreneur and a brand ambassador. So tell me what that was like going into being a brand ambassador and an entrepreneur. Like, tell us the struggling early stages of that and trying to find your place in those two type of environments.
Okay, so it definitely was not a beautiful, process. Like, to me it was, right? Because everything has to be beautiful. You have to appreciate every part of, the journey and the process. But starting out, like I said before, I grew up in business. However, I didn't really know much about it. I was just kind of like an employee, or just there as a child growing up. My mom started a landscaping company when I was 3. And we literally went from me sitting on top of the lawnmower and my mom pushing us to the neighbors' houses and stuff, until she grew the business to what it is today. But throughout that, I didn't learn much other than, we don't have to go clock in for somebody else. We can work for ourselves, and
your own boss.
Right. And the fact that you can make good money no matter, doing different things outside of just clocking in. But outside of that, when I started to get into my own life and growing up, moving out of the house and stuff, I realized that I didn't know anything really. And I started reading books. I hated reading books until this guy came up to me at a meeting one day and was like, have you ever read this book? Or do you ever read? And I was like, no, I hate reading.
How old were you at that time? How old were you?
And I was 19 at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 19. And actually, like, it's crazy because my father had passed when I was 19, turning 20. And then right before that, I started my own business. And it was a crazy experience for me, but I'm really glad I did what I did, because I just say it made me who I am today, right? But anyway, sticking to the subject, he asked me, do you read? And I was like, not really. But my mom always tells me, if you want to know something, you need to read a book. The most of the time they hide things from us, right? In books, because, years ago, they didn't allow us the privilege to even learn how to read. And so anyway, I was like, well, he was like, just read the first paragraph and I promise you'll like it. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go check it out. And then like 5 minutes later, he came back with this like really old looking book. Like he had read it 50,000 times.
When it had the sticky notes in it and everything. It had sticky notes, highlighters and everything.
Yeah, it was like used. And
that's how you know it's a good book though.
Right. So anyway, he was like, matter of fact, if I give you this, will you promise to give it back? And I was like, yeah, sure. He was like, just read the first paragraph. So anyway, I read the first paragraph and I promise you on everything, I was like tripping out. I felt like I didn't know anything in life, that I was like, I won't say dumb, but I was like, damn, I don't know shit. Like I got a lot to learn, right? And so I kept reading the book, and it's one of my favorite books. And so, by the way, the name of that book is called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Oh, hey, yo. I hear about that book so much, man. My actually one of the co-hosts that's supposed to be on here at COVID, he read that book and he always pressured me to read it. He said, man, if y'all want to read the book, read Rich Dad Poor Dad, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And, pretty much he could be a brand ambassador for it. I'm like, I'm gonna end up reading it when I get the chance to. But I hear about that book so much that it teach you a lot of life lessons.
It does. And it's crazy because that was like 13 years ago. And for us to still be talking about it today, it just kind of shows you the relevancy of it. But it's really good. I like Robert Kiyosaki. He has a lot of other books and things that he teaches, like the cash flow quadrant. I don't know if you ever heard of that before. Understanding like being on the left side and the right side when it comes to being an employee, self-employed, investor, and a business owner, right? And we ain't gonna get too much into it, but he breaks down the differences and the lifestyles and the decisions that those types of people make and how they maneuver in the world and stuff like that. So learning those things, it kind of changed my perspective, of course, and helped me move forward and kind of grow and learn. And it's been beautiful ever since. Not perfect, but it's been nice. I tell people all the time, I don't regret anything. You may hear me say some crazy stuff that's off the wall throughout this. And you'll be like, what? But yeah, my 20s were nice. I'll just say that. But yeah, so that's kind of how my entrepreneur journey started. And I recently just started doing my own thing when it comes to branding, because for a long time, I hung around like older people, like my mentors, different people like that. And then even the company that I was associated with, it wasn't the most attractive company. So it wasn't a lot of people my age involved either. So with that, I feel like slightly, I still was kind of behind when it comes to the internet and, you know, doing your own thing, being your own brand. Because for so many years, I was just pushing other people's products and services. So now I'm like, okay, I got to really get myself out there, brand myself. At this point, I've learned a lot. You know, I can help people in many different ways. So it's not just me giving you value from other services, but me giving you value from my experiences. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who I am. So.
Yeah, pretty much. So I wanna backtrack a little bit because I know you said your mom had her own company. Look at me talking about your mama. Your mom had her own, yeah, that's my slang talking. But your mom had her own business and her own company. So, and also you said you met this guy at the age of 19 to give you this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. Dissect those two and tell me which one would you probably think made you, you know what I'm saying, who you are today as far as the driven entrepreneur that you are.
Definitely my mom. She's really heavy into community, like she's a community activist, right? Very independent, very headstrong. Like my father wasn't around, like he was in and out and here and there. So like watching my mom and just, you know, being around her really definitely created me into who I am. And yeah, my mom is full of jewels and so I got to give her the credit, right? But with that, she still wasn't perfect, right? She still had a lot to learn. And so even growing up, me and my brother used to tell her like, Mama, you need an accountant, right? Like, or Mama, you can't just have me and my brother as your employee. Like you need to hire some other people because we don't want to be out here all day cutting grass.
So she learned it as y'all learning.
Right. And then we got to a point where my mom, she's such a giver. She used to be like, well, y'all, we ain't gonna go skating this weekend, or we're not gonna eat a steak or whatever, because the people down the street don't have no clothes or they don't have no groceries. So we're gonna pay our bills and then we're gonna, you know, help them. Right. And so, but it got to a point where I used to be like, well, Mama, you know, you still should pay yourself first. Like, don't just put all the money out there, right? Where we definitely have to get up tomorrow and cut some more grass to have money in our pockets. So yeah, we all kind of grew and learned together, and it taught me what not to do, right? What to do and what not to do. So then going into learning that book, it showed me that even though my mom had her own business, you know, and a lot of my friends used to think like, oh, y'all rich, y'all got a business, y'all blah, blah, right? But
we all did that at one point in our life, man. Your mom had a business, we looked at you like, bro, you with it, you know, right? Especially coming from a Black community because we don't see it often.
Right. You know, and I tell, like, we did do well for ourselves, but I tell people like, well, you know, don't misunderstand, because there were times where our lights were cut off. You know what I'm saying? There were times where we had to definitely get up the next day and go do those yards in order to have money in our pockets. But moving into that book, it showed me that my mom was still self-employed. So she still traded her dollars for hours. And after I got to a certain age, and my mama used to laugh and be like, girl, you too young. Because I used to be like, Mama, I'm tired of physically working. Like, I'm at a point where I'm ambitiously lazy. I do not want to go out here and do this. Like, what? She's like, you still young, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you done had me out here since I was 3, right? And so when I started learning other types of incomes that were out there, like residual income, passive income, you know, how investors move and stuff like that, it just kind of put me in a different perspective. And I'm like, okay, I see, like, it's good to have your own business and work for yourself, but you still have to physically be there most of the time for that money to come in. And, you know, I wanted to eventually move away from that. So.
Yeah, most definitely. Because I know a lot of us, at a young age, we don't understand like what our parents are doing to us when they're molded different type of lifestyles or factors that we need to have later on in life. I know when I was younger, you know what I'm saying, my mom, she used to be like, well, if you bring a C home, I'm taking their phone. And I used to hate it, man, because I always knew every quarter period I'm gonna have a C. I mean, it's just me. That's just academics. I would never have lower than a C, but I knew I was gonna have a C, man. So
did you prep your friends like, look, y'all, report cards coming out, my phone might be taken for a week?
No, because look, check this out though. Look, the crazy part is that you're bringing it up, because I used to have a twin sister, right? Well, I got a twin sister. So we would go to school, right? And she would be straight on the road. She'll maybe have all A's and 1 B. And she had like I want to say 3.8 GPA, and I'd probably be struggling with my 2.9, but I'm there though. You feel me? So, so she'll come out, she'll be like, "Mama, look at my report card," and I just be like, "Oh, ugly." So I used to be like, and I used to tell her before we even got home on report card, I'd be like, "Hey, yo, when we get home, tell Mom we did not get our report cards, we did not receive them. Just give us about 2 weeks." She was like, nope. I'm going home and tell her. So, bro, she was never on my side, man. So the phone will always get took, the Xbox would get took. So I was just like, man, it was one point in time where I just didn't even care no more, man. She just came up to me and was like, "Oh, I guess you don't care about having your phone number." I was like, "Nah, I really don't." But she had to give it back to me because I'd be having after school hours with sports or different organizations I was in.
Right. So you still have some privileges.
Yeah, so that was just to tell the viewers, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times when we younger, we don't understand what our parents are doing, whether it's chores, whether it's taking different things that got a wide interest in you. Yeah. You never understand it, but later on in life, like now, I'm 22 years old, so I understand what all of those things have done for me. It's separated me from people that, you know what I'm saying, that were my friends, but their parents weren't hard on them like my mom was. So now it started to split the difference, and it started to push me up higher. And now I just look back on it, I be like, man, I remember I used to hang around that person, and they ain't on the level I'm on at all. So I was blessed for those times. So a lot of these viewers, just listen to your parents, man. They know what they talking about. For real.
Listen, for like real. This is what I tell people. Observe everything, right? The whole broad perspective, because you, like I said earlier, you learn what to do and what not to do. And my mama was hard on me too. And growing up, like I said, my mama was really into community, and people used to be like, "Oh my God, I love your mama," blah blah blah. And I used to be like,
yes,
I guess.
I was one of those kids too. Mom used to always come around and talk to the teachers. I'd be like, "Bro, you doing too much." But at the end of the day, those teachers always, you know what I'm saying, took care of me when it came to grades, because they knew that I cared and my mom cared also. Right. So when they see that, they'll do anything. They'll go above and beyond for you just for that.
Right. Yeah.
Especially coming out of lower income area in your city too.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So just to hop back into it, to backtrack one more time a little bit. I know you said when you read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, was that the defining moment that you was like, I don't need to be no worker, I need to be a CEO, I need to be my own boss? Elaborate on that a little bit more.
I would definitely say it ignited me. Okay, so there's a few things. Number one, like I said, I grew up in business working for ourselves, so that's what I was used to. And when I went into college, I really didn't want to go to school because I immediately knew I didn't want debt, right? And that's because I was like, I don't know.
That's big. That's not to cut you off, but that's big to understand, because having that age where you know you want to go, a lot of people just be like, when I graduate high school, I'm gonna go to college. And that sometimes put people in the debt because they end up finding out their first year they don't want to go to college after that no more. So how, like, I guess because your mom was her own boss or CEO, you know what I'm saying, they helped you define what road did you want to take at the age of 19, because that's a hard decision to make, whether you want to go to college or not coming out of high school.
Right. I mean, I would say somewhat, she still was like, you should go. It's something to, do or experience. But I definitely was like, I don't know if I want to go to school. I don't want the debt. That was my first thing. And then, but I was like, well, whatever, I'll try for a semester or two. So I did, right? But I started to realize really quickly, which I guess still stemmed from the fact that I was raised working for myself and stuff, that I didn't like to be told what to do. So for you tell me, I got to be here at this time and this and do this, and like, I was just like, And I'm like a really hands-on person. So for me to be sitting in a class and like, it was just, I was like, nah, I got to be on the go moving or whatever, And so like, okay. And then also, after a while, I felt like the college that I went to was just like the high school I went to. My teachers wasn't halfway there or half of the time. And I was just like, this is just like...
What college that is? You want to put them out there?
I don't know if I want to say. I mean, everybody, most people might agree But I feel like I was back in high school, and I went to A&M for my first semester.
Don't do that to my school, man. We better than that. Don't do that.
I like A&M. I hope y'all are better. I hope
we
so.
way better than that. We way better.
I guess it just depends, but A&M can be a mess sometimes. But I mean, I enjoyed my experiences, don't get me wrong, but I just felt like I was like, oh goodness. I don't know, maybe it was just my mindset. It was in a different place. Because even then, like, I really wasn't like partying and doing all that. Like, I worked in the cafeteria and, you know, I did my work in class, and, you know, I did hang out a little bit, but I just went on the same type of stuff. So anyway, after that, I moved from there to UAH. And that was like even crazier because I took some math classes and I was like, why do I need this again? Like, F this, because I don't got time.
What was your major? What was your major?
Well, initially I wanted to major in biology. And so I tried it. I took a couple classes and I was like, oh, I gotta take these classes just to go to biology. I don't understand, blah, blah, blah. So after a while, I was like, okay, forget this. Like, I ain't doing this. So I just dropped out or whatever. But and then like shortly after, I met one of my mentors, and he was like, well, you know, why would you go to school, for example, to learn about business from a business professor who may have never owned a business before? Like, he just teach you out of a book. So that made a lot of sense to me, and I really just never looked back. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm not dogging college. Like, I don't necessarily suggest people go necessarily, but, you know, it's a good experience or whatever. And
that was your path you wanted to take.
Yeah. And one thing I will say that I look back and I say, well, you know what, because I did go to school for those 2 semesters, I wish that I would have networked and made more friends, because now, you know, looking, I don't know where you are in your college space or whatever, but, you know, a lot of those networks and friendships that you build and your friends go off to do other different things, you never know how that can transpire into y'all's future, right? So that's one thing I will say that I should have done a little bit better. But other than that, I was just like, this is not for me. So I'm gonna just take my own path. And I did. I started reading a lot of books and taking my own, you know, making my own judgments and decisions. And it's been pretty awesome since then.
Yeah, I tell a lot of people too, before you make that financial decision to go to college, you better know what's your path. You know, because a lot of people, and we not dogging college when we say that. It just, you know, it don't make sense to invest in someone that you don't need at all. It's just that's just gonna put you more in debt. So elaborating on that a little more, how you know what I'm saying? Because this is more like of a women empowerment thing. We do support women on this podcast. How important is it for women to cultivate and believe that they are front runners in this world and that they have a say so and they do matter? Because a lot of men will tell people, I mean women, that, you know, your opinion don't matter. Y'all don't know none. Y'all just think y'all know every damn thing. But it's very important. Yeah, it's very important to know that women are trendsetters and trailblazers.
Right.
You know, when it come to different things in the world. So just speak on that topic a little bit more, because I see how, you know, you followed your mom's path and, you know, they ignited a fire under you. So just elaborate on that a little more for me.
Well, first of all, you said how important is it? It's beyond important, right? Because at the end of the day, like, we all matter. Men and women matter. However, I like to think that the women are very important because we're the nurturers, right? We typically go with our heart, or what they call intuition, right? And a lot of times, smart men, I'll say, they go to women, right? They consult with women, right? Or they
all men are smart. We just make dumb decisions sometimes.
Okay, I give y'all that. I give y'all that. But just for example, like, I was reading Gucci Mane's book last year, and he talked very highly of women, his parents, the women that were around him growing, you know, coming up through his journey of success, and his wife. You know, he was like, if you don't value a woman, like, you sleeping, right? You tripping, because he was like, at the end of the day, this is how my career and my success got to where it is, because of the women that are around me and supporting me, right? So like I said, we're nurturers. We're creative thinkers, right? A lot of us are listeners. Like, I can go all day with the roles that women play. So it's very important to understand who you are just simply as a woman, right? You have to start learning how to love yourself, first of all, and knowing that you play a major role.
Key word, love
Yes.
yourself.
Yes.
Well, key
You play a
phrase.
major role in this world, right? And sometimes women don't realize that people look up to them, whether it's women or men. People look up to you with what you may be doing, and you might think it's minor, but to other people, it might be like a huge thing. For a long time, I didn't understand why some people would be jealous. I'm just gonna put it out there, like, you know, it is what it is. And because I used to be like, well, you could just do the same thing I'm doing, right? But people are in different places and different mindsets. And so I started to embrace that over time. Like, okay, well, cool. I'm a trendsetter, or, you know, I started this wave, and now other people are looking at me a different type of way and looking up to me. And so anyway, it's important at the end of the day. You have to love yourself first, right? Once you start doing that and start trying to learn and figure out who you are within yourself, and it kind of brings up the fact that the reason why I wrote a book. It's a self-help personal development book, and you know, I'm pretty sure we'll talk about it, but it's a questionnaire in my book that literally asks you questions that I'm pretty sure most people don't ask themselves, and they don't get asked the question from other people either. Like, do I love myself? And if you got to think about that, right? And don't lie to yourself either. Like, let's be real. Do you love yourself, who you are, inside and outside, right? Like, all the way to something simple as cleaning behind your damn ears. Like, I'm just saying, like, are you appreciating your body? Are you keeping it clean, right? But yes, women play a major role. So for all the women out there, start loving yourself more, appreciating who you are. Wake up every day with your head high, because first of all, you woke up on the top side of the dirt, right? Some people don't have the privilege to do that. And then start understanding and learning how you can become who you are, continue to become the most authentic self, right? The most authentic version of who you are, and get paid to do so, right? Everybody has a story. Everybody's different. And that's the beauty of it all. And you could take whoever you are and your story and your experiences and find out what your purpose is, right? And run with it. That's what I got to say about that.
Yeah, most definitely though. So I do want to hop into there because, you know, a lot of women, you know what I'm saying, are not like Jeanna Petty these days. A lot of them. I won't say a lot, but I'll say we got our couple handful, you know what I'm saying, around my generation of age. So, you know, a lot of women do go out here and chase success within other men or women or whatever they do in the wrong things. What would you tell those women that are chasing the things that are wrong at a wrong thing right now? What would you state to them?
Well, when you say the wrong thing, and you don't have to go into details, but ooh, that's tough. It's really tough. Honestly, a lot of people or women out here are gonna have to learn the hard way. Unfortunately, they're gonna have to hit their head a couple times, and if you have already hit your head, hopefully you learn from those mistakes. But you know, I'll just say this: whatever you might be chasing out there, that might not be the proper way. And some people don't think that it's not proper.
No, Gianna, I need you to go full force on it. This is Women Empowerment Month. They can't take it from a man. They can take it from a woman that's successful. So I need you to not be harsh, but be Mama Gianna right
now. Okay, it's coming to me. What I want to say first is you don't have to chase anything, right? Whether it be a bag, whether it be a man, whether it be anything. Like, you have what you need already in you to succeed or do whatever it is that you want to do, right? You don't have to chase. And I think that that's the biggest thing, right? Then the second thing would be, don't be in a rush. I used to be in a rush with everything, literally with public speaking. Like, I used to want the money right away, right? Like, but it's a whole process and a journey. And sometimes things that you might be wanting or desiring may not be there for you because you might not be ready for it. And sometimes it may come and you're not ready, but it leaves just as quick as it came, right? But yeah, that's a subject right there.
Yeah, let's hop into it though. No filter, man. Because I need them to know, like, because the reason I need them to know is because I see women as, you know what I'm saying, a strong pedigree when it comes to the life of success. A man cannot be successful if he don't have a strong backbone as a woman. So I just want you to know, like, I need you to get them some type of conversation to where, you know, they understand that they don't have to chase certain materialistic things or certain things that they are being entertained by, but chase whatever that they want to in life and stick to it and know that it's going to work.
Right. So, okay, first of all, your materialistic things are just materialistic things. They don't make you who you are. And you can have all the materialistic things in the world, but that doesn't mean that you go home and lay down and still be happy and satisfied at night. So that's one thing. Like, people get excited about all kind of stuff. But again, it just comes back to like really loving yourself and knowing who you are, because I won't say that at one point I got excited about hearing about, oh, this millionaire over here or this materialistic thing over here. I really never really been materialistic. However, I will say I used to be a little bit excited about it. But at the end of the day, it's not like, if you're not happy, it don't matter, right? And you can walk around looking a certain type of way all day, right? You can have these bags, you can have the cars, but if you're going home at night crying, or you still holding on to something in your past, or you mad at your mama for this, or your cousin, or whatever the case may be, it really just don't matter. And that can slowly eat you away on the inside, right? So chasing after these bags, I mean, the thing is, you ain't really going to details, but you said materialistic things and me.
Because I don't want to be so hard on them. You feel me? I don't want to be so hard on them, but you sound like you want to talk about chasing these bags. So
well, not necessarily, because you brought up men as well. And we have to.
This can relate to men as well. Well,
no, what I mean is women chasing men, whether it be for the money or whatever the case may be, for attention or whatever. But for one, we need to understand that men are going to look at you a certain type of way with how you carry yourself, how you talk, how you walk, like your confidence level, right? That's really going to play a role in how a man treats you, is how I feel, right? Yeah. So it really don't matter who you chasing after or what you're looking for in that person. You're going to reciprocate that same energy that you giving out, right? And so I'll just say this: you may not get what you're looking for out here looking for these men, or being in their face, or whatever the case may be. And it's tough. It's really tough, because it's a lot of influence out there when it comes to the music. Like, it really grinds my gears. It burns my ears. Like, them cartoons where the smoke come out their ears. Like, I really be feeling like
turn red. Yeah.
Because I'm like, this shit is not fucking reality. Like, get that, what they say, get the bread, get the head, then leave. Like, how you feel at the end of it? Like, are you really satisfied?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, is it any emotional attachment after that? Because it has to be, because women are very emotional people.
Right. So you probably feel shitty afterward. Yes, you might be happy because you got a little bag, but then you got to think like, okay, was that worth it? Am I valuable? Is this what I'm valued at? Right? Like, you valuing yourself. Like, let's just say you did go get a bag that's $20,000 bag, right, for doing whatever you done. But is that what you really worth? Like, you know what I'm saying? You got to think about stuff like. So, I mean, this is an intense like topic right now, and it's it's interesting.
But no, they have to hear from the older generation before them, due to the simple fact, wherever you guys leave behind, they're gonna follow them. And I think that's so important that our females today have strong women like yourself to show them and guide them the way, because there's so many influences out here, like you stated, with the music, get their head, get their bread and leave. I mean, if they constantly hearing that 50,000 times out of a year,
right?
That's what they're gonna that's gonna be their mindset. So it's very important for women like you to keep speaking on women empowerment and know that things will come to you at a good time, and if you stay true and honest to who you are.
Yep, be righteous and learn. And you might not know now, but start to figure out and learn what it is that you want ultimately in life, right? What do you want ultimately in life? And it'll start to attract to you as you take step by step every day, achieving those goals. Let me just speak from my experience, for example, because when I was 19, I was in a not so good relationship. And when I started my business, I guess maybe a month or two after, he literally did not understand what was going on, what I was doing, and why my time was being taken up so much at this new business venture, right? However, he wasn't doing a lot of things he could have been doing. So after a while, I'm like, forget you, I'm moving across country, right? Because you ain't treating me right anyway.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
And after that point, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna date. I'm not gonna really worry about getting a boyfriend or whatever. Like, I'm just gonna continue to learn and get better at who I am. I'm a person, develop the shit as much as I can, right? So I really didn't entertain.
Focusing on yourself.
Yes, to figure out who I was, like to find myself and learn, like, really, what is it that I'm out here doing? Because at that time, I still didn't really know for sure. I just knew I had an opportunity with my business. No matter where I went, I could make money, right? So, well, I don't need no man for that. Hell, I wasn't even raised like that. My mom, like I said, made her own money. So I'm instantly like, oh, I can do this my own, right? And so for years, I really didn't care to get in a relationship or let alone entertain anybody that was trying to holler at me. Like, I came across millionaires. I worked with different people. Actually, I did go back to school.
And don't they feel like that's the time? And don't they feel like that's the time when you become your greater self and you start to unlock doors and achieve everything that you wanted to achieve when you are by yourself and focusing on yourself?
Man, you learn so much by yourself.
Because you have no distraction.
Exactly.
You have no distractions.
No distractions. You ain't got to worry about nobody asking you to come over. Like, none of that. So I used to go home every day and just get in my books and like learn or listen to audio. I mean, and I have friends or whatever that I associated and talked to over the phone. But I lived all the way across very rare though. These people. Right. And what I was trying to say earlier is I got into networks and made friends with people who did have plenty of money, but I wasn't attracted to them. And that just wasn't me. Like, I'm not chasing you just for what you have. You know what I'm saying? Because also, like, when you start getting into relationships or you start going after men just because of what they have, they start feeling like, all right, I'm giving you something, that what you gonna give me, right? And some men feel like they can treat you any type of way because that's the only thing that you're looking forward to. Oh, she just wants some bread, so I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that in no mean way, but so a lot of women are naive and don't know how men move, especially if they older, right? Some people have different motives, so you just never know. And you just want to learn to be who you are and make your own decisions and don't be up under nobody's thumb. Like, I feel like I don't look. I'm not telling you don't go deal with men or don't get a boyfriend or whatever. However,
we never promote it.
right. But just be smart about it. Like, you don't want to be in a situation where you can't continue to be who you are and grow and develop. Because in your 20s, me and my husband tell people, look, get as many experiences as you can. You can take that how you want to take it. Hopefully you don't make bad decisions, right? But get experiences as much as possible. And I'm not knocking people who are in their 20s, early 20s getting married, but they go through a lot of stuff, right? Because some young men or women have not experienced certain things. So you might turn 24 after you've been married for 2 years and be like, I want to experience this. I mean, your spouse might not want to, like, what you mean you want to experience this?
Not want to do that, yeah.
Right. And, you never know how that's going to go. And so anyway, like, it's a touchy deep, we can go different ways with it. But I would just say, like, learn who you are, observe yourself, like observe your attitude, observe your emotions, observe how you respond to people, observe how if somebody is hollering at you, how does it make you feel? Observe how you, like, what you instantly think, right? And don't let your thoughts control who you are. Like, understand that you are an observer of your thoughts. Thoughts are going to come, but that don't mean that that's really who you are or something that you have to live by, if that makes any sense. Or you don't have to jump on the first train, right? And I don't want to go too far off or, off the subject, but you got everything you need inside of you. You don't need no man. Yeah. You don't need nobody else. Like, one thing I will say, one of the latest songs that I do like that's very, very inspirational, that should be anyway, is the one that says, fix your credit, girl, get it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh,
that's
yeah,
that's a
get
good
your
one,
bag
right?
up.
Right. You know,
Go
you
get
don't
that
need to
degree. Yeah.
exactly. And you don't necessarily have to have a degree. I mean, if you want to look at it like you can get a degree in anything, it don't have to be from a college necessarily. I got my degree in self-development. So I read plenty of books on mindset, right? So let me just name a few, like As a Man Thinketh, So Is He, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The 48 Laws of Power. And then just the latest books like by Gucci Man, 50 Cent's books. Like, you know, there's plenty of books out there that you can get game from.
You don't have to pay for education to be educated. You can always educate yourself through life experiences.
Exactly. You said something there right there. You agree with that, G? My husband always say that the best wisdom you can get is from experiences.
That's the best teacher.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Yeah,
y'all got this though. I just say so, women, you have this. Even though they say it's a man's world.
And that's what we try.
When you wake up think it's a woman's world, okay?
Yeah, I think Beyonce changed that though a long time ago with Who Run This World, but you know. yeah. But do you feel while we into that topic as well, I want to bring up, do you feel if women are leading this generation today?
Do I feel that they are leading? I'm gonna say yes.
And when I say leading, I mean like when I say leading, I mean like all aspects of life, whether it be, you know what I'm saying? Because we have some mothers that single parent mothers. I know my mom she did excellent with me and my twin. And you have plenty of others out there like that. Then also you have moms that are in a 2-parent household that have a husband like yourself. So do you feel in today's generation, women are being the pioneers more than men today?
That's tough. I want to say yes. However, you don't really know, at the end of the day, what's going on behind closed doors. We still have a world that's being ran by a lot of men, right? Just simply because that's how it was founded. Women didn't really start getting rights until later on in life. But I will say that a lot more women are starting to step up. A lot more women are starting to be on their own and be the face in the forefront of what's going on. So I can't really just say, okay, they're taking over and they're leading, because there's still those powers that be per se that make some certain decisions when it comes to certain things. But women are definitely starting to show up and show out. I'll say, and
I love it too. I love it because it's making men put their bullshit to the side and make them want to do better. I hope. I mean, that's what I hope they gain from it, because it's not, I don't want to say it's not many successful men out here, because it's many out here, they just not being seen or heard. But you will also speaking to the men that, and they know who they are. We are also speaking to the men that, you're not being men, you're not being leaders and pioneers. We need y'all to step up, because the more y'all step up, these women gonna want to step up. You know what I'm saying? That's how we become a better generation.
Right, absolutely. And one thing is, like, we were taught for so long that the man works, the man gets the money, right? And he takes care of the family, and that's all good and gravy. But now women are starting to get their own bag. And so the men got to figure out, like, well, shit, what else can I bring to the table, right? They ain't having no choice but to step up in different types of ways, because, well, shit, I done met a woman, she already got her own money, so how else can I make her, bring something to the table? What else can I do, right? So I think that it is making men step up in a lot of other ways as well, because now women are like, I don't need that. What else can you offer? But it is it's a beautiful thing that women are stepping up.
Is it a problem if a woman running a household and a man is not? Because that's a big question we have in today's generation. A lot of women, and also with men as well, feel insecure if their woman making way more money than they are and bringing in way more money in the household than what they are. So do money define the happiness in a relationship, or can that play a big part? Or just elaborate it on a little more, because I know some men, they don't want their woman to be the breadwinner in the household, and it aggravates the hell out of them. But what do you say to those men and those women who looks at, maybe my husband got too much and I can't match his level of intensity? Because sometimes we end up meeting people and we, you know what I'm saying, we opposites attract each other. So You know what I'm saying? You may have a woman that's probably making $40,000 a year, then you got a man that's making $80,000 a year, and they're in the same household. How do you deal with that in certain situations?
Well, so for one, it can play a major role. However, I think it's a lot about those two people's mindset, because why does it have to be a competition? You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, it just made me think like you competing, like, oh, you got more than me or blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, it's cool if you and your wife have an agreement or understanding, or y'all like to joke around and say, well, I'm gonna get this much money this year, or you know, that's all cool. Yeah. But it shouldn't have to be a competition necessarily. And then you should be able to work together and say, okay, this is my goal. Or if you do make, you know, if you are making this amount of money, I'm going to try to make this amount of money. Let's see how we can both come together, you know, and make that happen, right? Let's strategize. Even if y'all not doing it together, strategize on how, you know, the man can go out and do something different, or that woman can go do something different to bring more money into the household. Because at the end of the day, y'all in the same household, right? So what difference does it make?
I think I hate to see that. And I think I hate to see that as well, because I honestly think that's what caused divorces at a high rate. You know,
it does. Finance does, but a lot of people, when they say finances, it really again is communication first. Like, communication is number one. Don't sleep on it, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. Then comes the finances.
She said that's what it is.
You got to communicate about the finances, right? So, I mean, it just depends. Like, okay, if let's, like you said, the man making 40,000 a year, the woman making 60,000 a year. It really depends on what that person, that couple's scenario and situation is, because like, okay, are y'all sharing bills? Are y'all splitting the bills, right? Or like, who's paying? Like, it depends on what y'all decide and how y'all gonna run y'all household. But communication brings that part together to figure out, okay, this is how we're gonna do it. You know, we're going to budget this way, or we're going to keep things separate, and you go half and half, or whatever the case may be. Or if you want to do this, you know, if you want to pay all the bills, that's cool. But if you don't have no money left over, then let's figure out how you can make more money to, you know, go have the extra parts of the life, you know, the lifestyle. You can go be able to spend money or go shopping or whatever the case may be. You just got to figure out how to make it work for you. Finances are a big problem, but it still stems from communication and y'all just working together. It ain't got to be a competition. I just say that. Why are you competing with your significant other? Why not work together and figure out how y'all can both make a bag together and, you know, figure it out from there.
Yeah, most definitely. And I know you're speaking on to that as well. We see a lot of younger people these days want to move in with their better half and everything like that around my age, or maybe even younger, you know. And, you know, parents don't agree with it as far as, you know, because when it, you know, back in their days, they weren't doing it. So they feel like this generation shouldn't do it at all. So I just want you to speak on, like, is it ever too young to move in with your spouse, or, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm 22 years old, and it's probably people my age that want to move in with their better half and everything like that. What do you say to those people? Like, do they follow their own path, or do they listen to the people before them and they tell them no?
Well, I won't say like it's a matter.
You got a daughter.
Of
you got a daughter. You got a daughter.
I do. Yeah.
Do you have? Okay, so if she's 20 years old, she come to you and be like, "Hey, Mom, I want to move in with my boyfriend." What do you say to your daughter?
I would probably definitely have questions and have a conversation with her. It really would depend on the mindset of my daughter, to be honest, right? Yeah. I would have a conversation with her to see where she is mentally, because that's gonna make a bigger difference. It's a matter of like if she's ready for that type of lifestyle, being with her significant other. But I mean, technically I stayed with my significant other at 19, 20, and it wasn't a bad necessarily thing. The biggest thing is you really don't know a person till you live with them. So if that's what you want to do,
yes.
You can take your ass right on over there, so you can figure out who this nigga really is, and you see for yourself if that's somebody you want to be with. Because
and when you come back, be like, "Mama told you so."
If that's what, if that happens, well, baby, you learned, and now we know what not to do. You know. But yeah, you don't start learning a person until you live in the house with them, because, you know, you might like a person from what you know, we go on a date, whatever, we see each other a couple times a week. But when you start living with somebody and you see their habits and like, and this is just me from experience today, right? And I didn't necessarily start doing this.
She said today.
I didn't always do this, but every day when I wake up, I make sure I make my bed up, right? However, my husband gets up before me and he will leave the covers like whatever the hell they was
thrown off the bed.
And I just be like, oh, how hard is it to just pull the cover up, right? But but I, you know, I still do it or whatever. I make the bed up. But if that irritates you, like, I gotta still get over that, right? A little bit. But if certain things irritate you, you know, then you gotta start learning those things or just deal with it, because that's just the person you chose to be with. But I don't really want to say it's a good or a bad thing. If you want to go ahead and do it, because you're gonna need the experience and really get to see how that person really is and who they are at home. Like, at home is a whole different story than people being out and about. You're going to get to know the real person at the end of the day. You learn their habits, you learn their morning routine, you learn how they think, you learn how they move, how they clean, all that. And, you know, if you don't like it, you'll start to realize real quick, okay, this person really ain't who I thought they was. So, you know, you'll be able to make a decision from there, or either help them get better at being, you know, who they are. It's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, if you love that person and you like, okay, I'm going to figure out and see how I can work with this person to, you know, do better things or make better decisions at home, then that's a cool thing if they're open to it. But I don't want to say it's a bad thing.
Yeah, most definitely. I agree with some
understanding, you know, like because at the end of the day, when you moving in with somebody and you that young, you got to think about the responsibility of bills and stuff. So make sure you have that understanding and that agreement of, okay, what's gonna happen when the bills, like, are we splitting them or what's going on over here? You know, because things happen. Like, even when I moved out of the house, I moved across country with 3 other people, and I was under the impression that the bills were going to be taken care of until 3 months later we was going to court for an eviction, and I'm sitting here like, what's going on? It wasn't my significant other, it was just business partners. But at the end of the day, I thought what was really supposed to happen was going on, and it wasn't. And then come to find out, roommate over here gambling the rent money, you know, it's a lot of shit that come into play. So just understand what you're getting into, you know, and what can happen when you moving in with people.
No, that's most definitely, because I agree with some of those points as well. You know, just sit down, talk to your people, and, you know, just see where their mind is. If they got a great mind, then let them go for it. They got to learn at some point. Don't handicap them, you know.
Right.
And if they don't, you know what's best for them. Tell them to sit down somewhere and focus on themselves. But I do want to talk about your. Go ahead.
Real quick, I'm gonna say this though. There's nothing like having your own place and your own space and your own energy, you know, and just being able to go home to your own shit where you ain't got to worry about nobody doing this or that or fixing this or that or cleaning up behind nobody else. Because, you know, if you super young like that, you know, that can start to play a toll on you. You feel like you got to be responsible for somebody else's stuff. You know, all those things come into play. So if you can live alone, start to learn how to live alone, because then you'll start to get to know yourself and you'll be able to create what you want in your world, right? And appreciate that first, and then move to, you know, other parts and learning other people and living with other people and stuff. But either way, you still get good experiences and you learn from it.
Yeah, most definitely. But I do want to hop into your book before we close out. So tell me more about your book. What's the title of it for my viewers so they can go get that thing? Absolutely. And what can it teach them? And what can they grab from it?
Awesome. Okay. So the name of my book is called Becoming a Verified Boss Woman, right? I go by TherealJeannaPetty online, and that stems from, I think I said it earlier, but it stems from waking up every day, working toward becoming my most authentic self, okay? Because it's an everyday journey. Nobody's perfect. Some days you might wake up one type of way, the next day you might wake up differently, right? Just so understand every day is a new day. You can start over, or you can continue to keep doing what you feel like is the best thing for you to do. And so my book, Becoming a Verified Boss Woman, I want people to understand that every day you are becoming, right? And then I threw the verified in there because, you know, we talk about being verified online and people talk about being bosses online. But I say, if you ain't got your shit together at home, I don't care how many followers you got. I don't care how many blue checks you got over here, over there. If your stuff ain't together at home when it comes to your household, your mindset, your mentality, whether you happy or not, nothing else matters, right? And it's always something that you get up every day, you practice and you continue to do, you stay consistent on what you're doing. Otherwise, if you can't say I'm a doctor today and I graduated, and then the next day you don't do what doctors do when it comes to getting up, going to work, or studying to stay on top of what it is to be a doctor, right? Because the next day, if you don't do all that, then you ain't no doctor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So every day you becoming what it is that you are working toward. And so in a nutshell, my book is a self-help personal development book. I talk about confidence. I talk about posture. I talk about being you and being yourself, being paid to be who you are, understanding that you have a story, you matter. And then like I mentioned earlier, there's a questionnaire in there where you answer questions like, what do I like? What's my favorite, you might know your favorite color, right? But what's my favorite thing to do? What makes me happy? Am I happy with myself? How do I respond to criticism? Yeah, right? Because some people don't ever think about like, okay,
that's
somebody criticized me, right?
That's a big one.
It might be good criticism, right? But you might internally take it personal. You might get emotional. You might not express that in like physically, but you might go home later be feeling like crap because somebody said something to you and it was just really real and telling you about yourself, but you took it so hard, that it made you feel some type of way. So just understand like, okay, how did I respond? Did I respond or did I react? Right? Because some people react and they overreact, right? So I talk about responding versus reacting. When you react, you kind of just instantly go back at it, right? Without any conscious thought about what you're doing or what you're saying. But if you respond, you took a little time to observe what was going on and hopefully you responded, accordingly to whatever the situation or scenario was. And then I talk a little bit about doing what bosses do when it comes to everyday life situations. So if to me, in my eyes and my experiences, and from what I've been able to have over the last few years, bosses always consult with people who have more experience than they do in the topics and subjects and industries that they're dealing with. For example, most people may or may not know that Henry Ford, which is, Ford cars and trucks, right?
Yeah, Ford car, yep.
He was smart, but he wasn't that smart. He put people together who knew how to build cars, who knew how to do this over there, who knew how to do that over there. You just
educated me as an engineer. I'm an engineer major. You just educated me.
He put people together to do what he needed to do to build up the Ford name, right? He wasn't a car expert. He didn't know shit about cars, right? And so with that being said, I have always been able to have an attorney in my back pocket. Like I've been to jail twice. Never had to call my mama for either time. Even if I did, she wouldn't have been able to do shit.
Not rewind back on that because a lot of people don't think if they have a record, they can't succeed. Please elaborate on that. Go back. You said you went to jail twice.
Yes. So fortunately, I don't have a record, but you can still see on my record that I went to jail, of course, but I don't have a record, fortunately. But yeah, I went to jail twice and, I didn't let it deter me. Like I said, I don't regret any of my experiences. It was cool to get that experience and say that I never wanted to go back. Right.
It took 2 times.
Well, not necessarily, but that second time was like some messed up type of, anyway, luckily it was just minor stuff, but, yeah, so I was able to have an attorney for the last 13 years in my pocket, whether it was good or bad situations. I really want to highlight that because I modeled for a couple of years. I had to have contracts reviewed. So let's say that I didn't review my contract and that contract said, you can only work with this company for this amount of years. And this is a good example too. Megan Thee Stallion, when she first came out, she didn't review her contracts and hell, I guess nobody reviewed them because she didn't like what she ended up getting into. And so when I heard about it, I'm like, why do you have no attorney review your contracts? Like now you stuck in whatever.
Especially in this generation.
Right. So I always make sure my attorney review my contracts and stuff before I sign them. And luckily that modeling contract wasn't like, super major, but you never know when you sign your life away, even when it comes to buying cell phones or getting leases on an apartment or a home, like you never know what you're getting into. So it don't have to be bad situations. But then fortunately I have had an attorney in other, situations as well, when it comes to getting arrested or traffic tickets,
legal situations
like that. Right. But the difference is when you say legal situations, every day that we wake up and walk out of our door could be a legal situation. Every time you walk in Walmart, that could be a legal situation, right? So everything we do, you know, not everything, right? But I always have made sure that I consulted with an attorney about it, to make the best decision, to know what the laws and the rights are, because we live in America. And I don't know if you know, not you necessarily, but right, our listeners, we live in a country that was built off of the foundation of law, right? That's how we operate. That's how business operate. That's how we maneuver every day. That's how we exchange finances. Like everything we do is based around the legal system. And so I ask people, not that I always knew it at a certain time, but I ask people now, how do you operate in a world and not understand what your rights are and what the laws are, right? So that's something that I'm really passionate about, and I educate people on, and I help them get access to attorneys and stuff like that. But anyway, going back to my book. So that's part of what I talk about when it comes to what bosses do. Bosses, they consult with people who will have more experience than them. Bosses have mentors too, right? A mentor always has a mentor and a mentee. They always consult with an attorney when it comes to their legal rights and situations. They never sign contracts. And I talk about in my book how, you know, Michael Jordan, Oprah, you know, all these celebrities and different people that we know about, they don't even sign birthday cards without making sure they ain't signed something accidentally, right?
Yeah.
So we get excited signing these contracts and accepting terms and agreements online and not realizing, because who gonna read 17 pages of a term and agreement? Like nobody, right? But
nobody.
Sometimes we don't know what we getting into. And so, excuse me. So I break down a little bit about like what bosses do, how they operate, confidence, posture, getting paid to be you. And at the end of the day, at the end of the book, you sign a little agreement basically to yourself, right? I'm agreeing and I understand, and I'm excited moving forward to become, or constantly, regularly become a verified boss woman, you know, and be my authentic self and know who I am.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm pretty sure it's a lot that, you know, this women in today's generation can grab from your book. You know, it's very interesting, you know, from the place that you came from, to be able to sit down and grab and write a book, you know, just off your life experiences and the education you've taught yourself. So now that you're this bona fide, fully yourself, I know you probably think that you have ways to go, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. but from what I can tell, you know, you're a very well-grounded person. If you can go back and tell your younger self something today, what would it be?
Well, one thing I always look back on, and I talk about a lot, I've talked about it a lot lately on my Instagram, is the amount of money that I played with when I was coming up. Okay. So like I said before, I got myself into some situations where I was able to have money, lots and lots of money come through my hands, and I wasn't financially educated. So that's one thing we don't learn in high school or college or anywhere. And one thing I recently heard was that your credit score is like your adult report card, right?
Yes, sir.
And
credit
so
score is your personality. Because you can go on a date with somebody, you go on a blind date with somebody, and the only thing, for real, because like Gianna, like really, you go on a blind date with somebody and you can ask them. You don't even have to say, hey, what's your name, or none of that. Sit down and ask them, yo, what's your credit score? And if it's not 650 plus, it's a bad look. It's a bad look, honestly, because that tells a lot about who you are.
It is. You know, but and it's unfortunate because, like I said, a lot of people aren't financially educated, and they don't know where to go. So growing up, I would say like, okay, yeah, I did a lot of personal development, but I would tell my younger self to get into more of understanding how the financial game works. Because with the amount of money that I played with, if I would have known what I know today and moved and invested my money certain type of ways, I probably wouldn't be like, I won't say I wouldn't be working hard, but I probably would I'd just say I'd be in a different position than I am today. You know?
Yeah.
So definitely get better financial literacy, understand how the game works. It's really not that hard to make good money. It's just about understanding how the system works, right? It's just, you know, and understanding. And I wanted to put this out there because I was listening to the podcast, not a podcast. It was more like an audio book, but it was called Earl Nightingale. It's by Earl Nightingale, and goodness, what is the name of it? The Strangest Secret ever. The strangest secret is what it's called. And basically he said a lot of people think that success is based off of the amount of money that you make, but that's really not true. Success is based off of the time and the efforts and the energy that you have put into something over a long period of time. Hopefully it has been toward, serving others, right? But so success is not just finances. However, once you become successful, then your finances will come, right? So let's just say, for example, in music industry, right? Some people in the music industry are so consistent, even though they didn't do anything for so long. They had a few followers here and there, a few listeners here and there. Then out of nowhere, their consistency made them who they are, or they made that one song hit, right? Then comes everything else behind it, right? Everything, all the money started coming in, all the offers start coming in, everything started coming in. But it really wasn't just the music itself. It was the fact that that person was consistent over a certain period of time. They put that work in to get where they are today. So that's just kind of a example. But so success it's not determined by how much money you have, right? And then he also broke down how a lot of people say, oh, I want to make a lot of money. He said, you can make money by going and getting a job. People who have a job make money, right? Or you can earn money, right? Which is something totally different, by offering services or products that fill a void or something that people need and want, right? On a massive scale, right? You fill a void and doing something that makes a difference. So anyway.
That's what you'll tell your younger self, man.
Yeah, that's what I would tell my younger self. Get financial literacy, understand that it's really not that hard to make money, and that your credit score can put you in a lot of different places, in a lot of different rooms, and you ain't got to chase no bag because your credit score is your bag at the end of the day. My mentors talk about black cards and this credit card over here and this credit card and the OPM, which is other people's money, right? You don't have to worry about all that going to find a bag or getting with a man for a bag if your credit right. It's a little bit more simpler.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, we're gonna head up out of here. Drop your social medias for me, and where can they find that book?
Sweet. So you can find my book at JeannaPetty.com. That is JeannaPetty.com. My social media, most of the places you can find me at TherealJeannaPetty. And yeah, I appreciate you for having me. This was really fun. This stuff. Hopefully I can come back one day.
Most definitely. We'll definitely bring you back. We just wanted some women empowerment on here because these next couple of episodes we put out, I know women gonna be like, oh, they bashing us, but it's just it's a men's podcast, basically. But we share different opinion than what women do. Well, but no, we love the women here, but it's just some things that we men have to have a space to talk about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you all and your perspective. And for your age group, you 22, you said, the females, they have to learn a lot around their age, especially with all, like I said, the influence and stuff going on today. They got to learn, and hopefully you all as mature men can express that in a way, that they understand. And if not, the women gonna hit their head a couple times before they learn. But that's part of growing up. It's all good. Growing pains, that's what they call it.
yeah. So most definitely we gonna end it like that. Yo, this has been another episode of TrapSet Podcast. Thank you, Jeanna Petty, for coming on. I'm pretty sure a lot of these women viewers gonna appreciate this episode here.
Love yourself. It was a plum-pleasing pleasure to be here. I hope you all enjoyed it. Enjoy yourself, love yourself, be who you are, get paid to do so in the process, and go out and help a lot of people get what they want, and ultimately you'll get what you want. Take it easy.
Yes, sir. We're gonna end it like that. This has been another episode of TrapSet Podcast. We out.
What can I say? I'm the best. In your face. Good night.